Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my podcast. I'm so glad that you are here with me today. Now, I don't know about you, but it's getting to that time of year where I feel like my body, my mind, everything just needs a bit of extra care. And I wanted to talk through with you guys today my favourite habits for a physical and mental glow up. Now, you guys would know I had a massive transformation, and in order for me to get to where I am today, which is the most confident, the most happy that I have felt in myself, I accredit a lot of that to my habits, and the habits that I have learned on the way have honestly been the key to my success in my glow up journey. Now, I don't just say having a glow up lightly, I genuinely believe that every area of my life has grown up thanks to these habits, and I've learned them along the way, and I'm here to give you them so that you don't have to go through the guesswork that I did of muddling your way through trying to better yourself. You've got these readily available habits that I'm going to talk you through what they mean and how to do them to help you on your glow up journey. You don't need to do all of these, you can just do a couple, but all I know is that if you implement these, they are going to change your life. Number one is a regular self-care routine. Now guys, you need to be having a self-care routine, whether that's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, it does not matter. It needs to be regular, and it needs to be something that's pouring into your own cup. This could be skincare, this could be hair care, this could be moisturizing your body, dry brushing, it could be anything. A self-care routine that works for you is what's most important. Now, my favorite way to look at this is to have time in the morning and time in the evening to do a self-care routine. Now, in the morning, it can be more invigorating things such as your skincare, washing your face, maybe moisturizing, getting yourself ready for the day. And in the nighttime, it's more about winding down. So you might be doing a nice bath, you might be doing some hair masks, some hair oils. It's whatever works for you guys. It can literally be anything. There are so many elements and so many things that can make a good self-care routine. But what I have found is that when I was in my before, shall we say, I really neglected myself, and it can be so easy, I know, to jump out of bed, throw the first pair of clothes that you see on, and then just get straight into your day without any kind of thought about you and looking after yourself. And just carving out that extra 5 to 10 minutes, especially in the mornings, is honestly like life-changing. It changes the way you show up for yourself throughout the day, because you know that the first thing that you did in the morning was pour into yourself and prioritize yourself. And also in the evenings, it's such a nice way to wind down and to really get yourself ready for bed. And it really changes how your next day starts as well, because I always believe that the way you go to bed is the way you're going to wake up feeling the same. So if you can go to bed feeling really restored, feeling really calm, it's going to make your next day so much better too. This is all about just taking that regular little bit of time to look after you, your mind and your body. And like I said, a self-care routine can literally be anything. It's just having that regular time to yourself, nothing else, not your phone, nobody else, just you. And honestly, that has transformed my confidence in so many ways, and just the way that I show up throughout the day, the decisions that I make, because I know that the first thing I've done and the last thing I do every single day is prioritize me, pour into my cup, and that has honestly changed the way that I feel in myself. Number two is nervous system regulation. Don't switch off at that one, guys. Honestly, I know before I kind of understood about the nervous system and how to regulate it, I honestly had that, and I heard so many people saying it, and I was like, girl, like, what are you talking about? But honestly, when I learned about my nervous system and when I learned about how to regulate it, my life changed, and that's not an understatement. And it's been more of a recent thing, if I'm honest, but just taking the time to daily regulate my nervous system is honestly the best thing that I've ever done. Now, your nervous system is the thing that controls your stress, your anxieties, how calm you feel, and it's what can put you in that fight or flight mode. And I felt like a lot of the time, you know, back in my previous days, I was in that fight or flight mode when it came to everything. I'd wake up, I'd check my phone, blue light. First of all, that stimulates cortisol, which is the stress hormone. I'm sure you've heard of that. So already from the first moment that I woke up, I was stimulating stress within my body. And now I have switched it so much to focus on avoiding that stress until later in the day and just minimizing it as much as possible. So what that looks like is when I wake up, I don't check my phone straight away. I don't put a light in front of my phone straight away. I start my day really gently, really calmly. I try and seek natural sunlight if I can. I do some deep breathing. I hydrate my body. And that is a really nice way of easing yourself into the day instead of suddenly flooding yourself with loads of cortisol, loads of dopamine. And what can happen is often if you are checking your phone first thing in the day, that's going to lead to other behaviours that aren't really helpful. You're not getting outside, you're not having the healthiest breakfast, you're not hydrating, and your cortisol is just going to keep on spiking, and that is not what we want, because it is going to crash and you're then going to feel rubbish for the rest of the day. Now, cortisol is designed to naturally rise in the mornings, But anything you can do to just really keep that gentle and keep that rise nice and steady is honestly going to make you feel so much better throughout the day. So like I said, just regulating my nervous system throughout the day in little moments honestly really helps. So like I mentioned, that's in the morning, making sure I don't check my phone straight away. I have a really nice gentle start to the morning, and I wake up really nice and naturally with natural sunlight, drink some water, really hydrate my body. And then throughout the day, it can be really easy with work, with everything, to just let your body go into overdrive and to get really stressed. So what I like to do is take moments throughout the day to just take some deep breaths and just really calm down. And that is literally all it has to be, guys, is just a few deep breaths. I always do this before I have a meal. I just take 2 minutes. I just set a 2-minute timer and just really calm down, because if you enter a meal in a very like fight or flight state, you're not going to appreciate the food that you have in front of you. So I really like to just take those few moments to breathe, to get myself ready for the meal, to feel gratitude. I feel so much calmer and slower when I go into my meal. And you can use that with anything throughout the day. If you're going into a meeting, no matter what you're doing, just taking 2 minutes to do some deep breaths, it honestly really helps your nervous system, and you'll feel the difference because you'll feel calmer. So definitely start with the mornings, work on your mornings, but also take those breaks throughout the day to calm yourself down, to regulate your nervous system, and you will feel so much more at peace in yourself. Now, number 3 is a form of movement that works for your body. I talk about this all the time because for so long I was chasing forms of movements and routines that were based off other people or based off what I'd heard was the right thing to do or thought was the right thing to do. And only until recently have I really realised the importance of moving in a way that is aligned with your body. Now, all of our bodies are different, right? You will never look at you and someone else and think, oh, we have the same body. Or even if you do, that doesn't mean that you should work out in the same way. Everyone's body has different needs. Everyone has different preferences too, which are really important when it comes to movement. And everyone just needs different things when it comes to exercise for it to be sustainable and long-term for you. And what I really encourage is finding a form of movement that you enjoy and that actually works for your body. Now, for some people, this will be running. For some people, it will be Pilates. For some people, it will be high intensity exercise. For some people, it will be strength training. That is why I don't think anyone should ever bash another form of movement online. I feel like recently we've seen such a hate train towards high intensity training, and there's just no need for it because it works for some people, and for some people it won't work, and it will cause cortisol spikes and it will make you more stressed. But for some people it will do their body so much good and they'll enjoy it. And I don't think we should ever demonize any form of movement, because what doesn't work for you will work for someone else, and that is really important. So when I found a form of movement that really worked for me, which for me is a really nice balance of things, I love running but I really love walking. And for so long I didn't want to kind of not admit, but I didn't want to like really lean into the fact that I love walking, because I just thought it wasn't proper exercise. It didn't burn enough calories. And now I walk all the time. I look forward to my morning walks. If you guys follow me on socials, you'll know, but I look forward to my morning walks so much. They calm my nervous system. They're just amazing. And do you know what's amazing about them? They're consistent. There's no fail. I will never miss one because I love doing it, and that is what is so important. Of course, I can try Pilates. I can try whatever, whatever, for a little bit, but it's never going to last if I don't enjoy it. A form of movement that works for your body is something that feels good, but it's something that's going to last too. And honestly, that can be a balance of things. That can be one thing, that can be everything. It can be whatever you want, but really experiment with different forms of movement and just listen to your body. What feels good? What did you come out of and think, oh my gosh, I really enjoyed that. I would like to do that again. Now, I caveat that exercise is exercise, and there are some forms of exercise that are never going to be 100% enjoyable. For example, running. I don't always love it when I'm doing it, but I know that I love it afterwards and that kind of thing. So obviously bear that in mind. You're not going to love every second of every form of exercise, but what really feels good afterwards, what energizes your body, you know? I think that is just so important. And finding a form of movement I really love, and just a routine that I actually enjoy and I like. And it's not a routine that's created to burn calories or to change my body. It's a routine created to energize myself, to fulfill me, and just to keep me feeling good. It's just such an important switch, and your exercise routine should never be for punishment, guys. I say this all the time. It will never last, and it will never feel good, and you'll never reach your goal because the goalposts will just keep moving. So find movement that works for you and try to steer away from those really aesthetic-based goals. I want to look like this, I want to look like them, and just move because it feels good. And as soon as I started doing that, I noticed a drastic difference in all areas of my life, because as soon as I started moving my body because it felt good, not because I was burning stuff off or changing my body, my nutrition just naturally got better because I was no longer eating and thinking, oh, I'll burn this off tomorrow or that kind of thing. I was just eating to nourish myself every day, and the movement is a supplement. I like to think of movement as nutrition as two different things, and they should rarely affect each other, because your nutrition should be so solid on its own that just because you've got, you know, I don't know, a big hit session tomorrow doesn't mean you feel like you need to overeat or that kind of thing. And obviously, caveats to that, if you're training for marathons and things like that, your nutrition does have to change, and for some training your nutrition does have to change. But I think at the foundational level, try and look at them as different things, because you don't want them to become intertwined where you're burning calories to burn off food and that kind of thing. It's a really disordered way to go. So try and find movement that genuinely works for you and what you like. And that, you know, if you don't know where to start, try different things. Book onto a few different classes, try walking, try running, you know, these things are free. So try different forms of movement, feel what you enjoy, feel what's good for your body, and stick with that, and you will honestly notice such a difference. Now, number 4 is making an effort with yourself every single day. And now this links into number 1 in terms of a self-care routine, but it's a little bit different now. I know that when I first really got started into the gym, not that long ago, honestly, I was obviously working out a lot, and that meant that my hair was always slicked back. And guys, I love a slick back, but just let me get to the point. My hair was always slicked back. I wouldn't really wash it. I wouldn't put much care into it. I wouldn't put any care into my appearance, guys. Like, I'd come back from the gym and I just wouldn't do anything to myself. Like, you know, it was really bare minimal self-care, and I would look in the mirror and not really like what I look like, because I've got, you know, the first clothes I saw in the cupboards, and I just throw my hair up. And as part of actually my 75 hard, one of the things that I really wanted to implement was making an effort with my appearance and me and my wellness every single day. And it can sound superficial when you first think about it, but it honestly, for me, is so much more than that. It's about every single day kind of taking that little bit extra time to really just make an effort, you know, whether that's doing my hair or putting a little bit of makeup on or wearing a nice outfit, wearing some nice clothes, or just making my work from home setup really lovely. It's about putting that intention to yourself and putting that, you know, filling back into your own cup is what I always say. And it honestly changes the way you show up for yourself throughout the day. Your confidence changes. And as soon as your confidence changes, because you know you've made an effort, you know, you look in the mirror and you think, yeah, I've made an effort today, I feel more confident. And that naturally spans into everything, guys. Your decisions you make, the way you show up with your family, your relationships, your motivation to do things. Honestly, you would not believe how much of a difference it makes, honestly. So making that little bit of effort every single day, and like I said, it doesn't have to be massive. Like, I'm not sitting here putting on a full face of makeup every single day, but it's just doing the little things. Maybe it's putting on a nice bit of skincare, or really looking after my hair, making my hair look nice, or wearing a new jumper that I got. Honestly, it can be that simple, but it honestly just changes the way that you feel in yourself, and like I said, how you show up for yourself throughout the rest of the day. And it can seem like a faff, but honestly, don't skip it, because it will transform the way that you feel in yourself and yourself throughout the day. Now, number 5 is mindful eating. And again, I know this is a sensitive one, and I do not want you guys to think in any way that I'm encouraging any specific way of eating or diet or restriction, because I'm completely against that. And I know that diets are a really kind of sensitive topic, so I don't want to give you any rules or anything like that, because I believe food should be freedom. But when it comes to mindful eating, again, these all link into each other, but it links into that nervous system regulation. And what this means is really tuning into yourself and your body's natural hunger cues. For the longest time, I thought the only way I was ever going to reach my goals was by tracking everything. I thought that surely if I want to lose weight, I have to track things, because how am I going to know? I have to listen to the calories that, you know, an app tells me, or I have to watch what other people eat to see, you know, am I eating the same, or am I eating more? And I wondered why my goals never got closer, and my relationship with food became extremely unhealthy. I have been on such a journey. I mentioned this in my Glow Up Journey video, which you can watch, or if you're on Spotify, you can also listen to that as the previous episode. But I had to work so hard to move away from tracking and being obsessed with calories, and eating anything. If it was low calorie, it didn't matter, to working my way towards an intuitive place where I'm really focused on nourishment and listening to my body. Now, day to day, I do not track my calories. I do not think about calories. I literally listen to my body's natural hunger cues, and I know what nourishes me because I've done, you know, a bit of work around nutrition. And I really do encourage that. Learn about nutrition, learn what's in your foods, learn about whole foods, learn about ultra processed foods. But I have worked so hard to get to this place where now I feel complete trust in my body, and I know that I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm full. I eat enough, no more, no less. And I genuinely think that's the best place to be. And again, this is a personal view, so please, if you have any different views, they're completely valid. But I just think that once we put all of the external measures down and we think about how, people used to live before phones, they were so in tune with their body's natural hunger and fullness cues. And even if you think about a child, they don't track calories, they don't think about calories, they just know when they're hungry they eat, and if they're not they don't, and then they don't want to finish the whole plate just because it's there. If they're hungry, then if they're full, they're not going to finish it. And I have worked so hard, and I think it's so beneficial to work to this place and to work to a point where you just really trust your body and what it wants and what it needs. So I think that working on mindful eating, so that's really eating with meaning, and and eating where the things on your plate are nourishing you, and you're not looking at the calories, you're looking at the ingredients because they're nourishing and they're going to fuel you and they're going to make your skin glow, that kind of thing. I think that is honestly a really amazing, it's tough, but it's an amazing journey to go on. And I genuinely think that habit for me has been one of the most life-changing ones, and it's been just so great to be where I am now, and I'm so much closer to my goals now, and I've reached so many more of my goals now than you ever think. Because you think if you're going to start eating mindfully or not tracking, you're just going to eat everything and anything, and that's not what happens. You just become so in tune with your body that you actually start eating what your body needs, and your body just naturally settles, and your nervous system is regulated and it calms down because it's not constantly looking at an app. You know that you can fuel your body whenever it needs it, and your body feels safe. And when I was tracking everything, my body never felt safe, and that showed up, and I never felt safe around food, and I think that's a really tough place to be in. So really working on mindful eating, regulating my nervous system before I go into a meal, thinking about nourishment, not calories, and just listening to my body's natural hunger and fullness cues have been life-changing. And I think this habit is a really important one and such a useful one if you're currently in a place where you don't feel aligned with, your diet and tracking everything. And it works for some people, I do get that, but it just didn't work for me. So if it doesn't work for you, honestly, try and lean into this approach, because it's been a habit that has changed the game for me. Next is daily learning, and I mean learning something new every single day. This is a great habit, guys. This is such an amazing way to improve your self-development, your self-growth, your knowledge, and everything to do with your mind. For the longest time, as you can imagine, and as probably a lot of people are because it is the norm nowadays, I was just stuck being complacent, I think is the perfect word. Just checking my phone, scrolling mindlessly. Any free time would never be spent learning anything. It would be spent on social media or YouTube or Netflix, or just lying around or watching TV. And there is a place for that, but there is so much benefit in dedicating time every day to putting your mind to use, putting your mind to work and learning something new. This can be podcasts, this can be videos, this can be a book. Part of the 75 Hard, I've obviously had to read 10 pages of a non-fiction book every day, and I've chosen different self-development books because I've got through quite a few now. And that time every day, I can confidently say I learn something new every day because I'm reading 10 pages of a self-development book every day. And it can be that, or it can be a podcast. I love a podcast, or it can be literally anything, a YouTube video, no matter what. But learning something new every day stops you from getting to that complacent point. Now, when you're complacent, you tend to be complacent with everything else in your life. You're not striving for more. You don't want a better job. You don't want to be better in yourself. You're not trying to improve. You're just kind of staying where you are. And for some people, if that's okay for you, that's completely fine. But I'm sure if you've clicked on this episode, you want more and you want to be like the top 1%. And the top 1% of people aren't complacent, guys. They're learning new things every day. And even if you don't want to be in the top 1%, it's about being the best version of you and having the healthiest brain. And a brain that's working is healthier than a brain that isn't and is just brain rotting. Let's be honest. So taking that time every day, it can be 5 minutes, guys. It can literally be Duolingo. It can be anything. Just to switch your brain on and to learn something is just so healthy. And I have found that I feel so much more clear and just so much more energized and just so much better with my mind and my brain when I'm doing that. And it really helps me enter that flow state too. I love learning, and learning is one of the kind of scenarios where our brain is enters a flow state, which is like the its point where it's at its most peace, and it can just drill down and work and keep going. And I find that for myself, and I think I feel so much better if I've used my free time to learn something and to work on myself, because I know it's furthering my knowledge, than when I use my free time to spend it on my phone or social media. I feel kind of afterwards, But when you actually are using that time to invest in yourself and to learn something, you actually feel better afterwards. And anything that makes me feel better as opposed to feeling worse, which would be social media, I'm going to go for, okay? And it's not always the easiest thing to do, and I'm not saying do it all of the time. There's a place for YouTube, there's a place for Netflix, there's a place for just chilling, and that's where self-care comes in. But there is also a place for that daily learning time, which I think is so important for our mind, our mindset, our growth, and just generally, like, you never know. And there are so many times where something that I've read in a book or listened to on a podcast has just come in handy, and I've known the answer to a question, or I've just been able to impress someone that might be of benefit to me. And I think that is just so valuable. But it's also just a great way to just avoid being complacent, to keep pushing yourself and just to be the best version of you. It's just great. So literally start off with a podcast, start off with a book. You don't need to read 10 pages, you can read 2, but it's just dedicating that time every day, like you would do with self-care, to bettering yourself and to learning and to being, the best version of you and your brain, pushing your brain, because we don't want to be having these brain rotty brains, which we're seeing everywhere. All these new studies are coming out that's like our brains are becoming, I don't even know, because we're spending much time on our phones, our brains are like dumbing down, our knowledge levels are like lowering. I don't want that. I know that. When I see those, I'm like, that's not me. So dedicating this time is so healthy and it's so good for you, and you'll feel so much better afterwards. Now, the next habit that we are going to be talking about is journaling. Now, journaling has been something for me in the past year, a habit that has really changed the game for me. There are so many forms of journaling, and I'm going to talk about those, but daily journaling is something that for the longest time I was a bit about, like, I wasn't too sure. Like, people would talk about journaling and I just thought it was a bit, I don't know what it was, but there was something about it that and it was the same, I had it with meditating. I just thought, not really for me. But how I was wrong. So when I started journaling, I really started simply with just writing down at the end of the day my thoughts, and just, I don't know, you go into a journal and you think, I'm not going to have anything to write. But I would just go and I'd sit at the end of the day and I'd give myself that time to compress and calm down. And I'd start journaling, and just things would come out about things that I didn't even realise I had thoughts about. And there is so much benefit, and there are so many studies that show the benefit of just putting your thoughts and your feelings to paper. And another thing that's really beneficial from when I was doing that was so many ideas I would have about things, or new perspectives, because you're just seeing it and you're writing it and you think about it differently. It can be so easy to just go through the day again on our phones, not really processing emotions, not really processing feelings, thoughts, experiences, because you never have time to just be still and to just be bored for a little bit and just to sit and just process. Think about, when was the last time you just kind of sat and just thought about your feelings or thought about your thoughts? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. And I was like that too, because when we do have that little spare time where, our ancestors, or not even our ancestors, like people that didn't have phones, would just sit there and be bored, we grab our phone. And I think there is so much negative effects of that have happened, because we never have time to just sit and be present with ourselves anymore, because we are just constantly on our phone or picking something up, or we're able to just scroll, watch TikTok, instant dopamine, as opposed to just sitting there. I remember as a kid when, like, I don't know, I was waiting for something, or like even something like the microwave, I just sit and I have to wait, and it's annoying, but like, you just wait, and then you're thinking about your day, you're thinking about all of that. Now we don't have that, because I can assure you, whenever you have like 3 minutes, you're picking up your phone, right? So journaling for me gave me that time to just sit and be present and to process my feelings, and it just made me feel so much better, and I gained so many new perspectives on situations. If I was struggling with anything, I'd journal about it, and literally as I was journaling, new thoughts and new perspectives would come that would help me. And again, like, ideas and things that I want to do would come, and it would just be like, wow. And that's why I always advocate as well for, like, not taking your phone on walks, because I think they're the best time to just be with your brain, to just like process things that have happened and all of that stuff. So I genuinely think journaling is an amazing way of, number one, like I said, processing your feelings and emotions throughout the day, and just being able to reflect on situations and things that have happened. And then number two, another form of journaling that I love and I think is a great habit to have, is gratitude journaling. Now, this is something I do every single day, and I've been doing it for the past 6 months. And this is really amazing. Now, we know how important gratitude is. It's one of the most studied kind of well-being practices in terms of the benefit that it has on our general mood and our happiness. It is so important. And again, it's not something that you would think to spend the time on. And it's not something that you probably think you have time to do or you would do, because like, why would you? It is amazing. Now, gratitude journaling for me, it's different for everyone. It's just writing down the things at the end of the day that I feel really grateful for, and then rereading. This is really important, not just writing them down, but reading them through and feeling that gratitude. And it just changed my perspective on the world, on so many things, on the people I love, on the things I'm grateful for, how grateful I really am, which then changes your outlook on the world in so many ways. Now, naturally, as humans, we tend to have a negative mindset. We focus on what we don't have. We focus on the train we missed, the traffic, the job that you didn't get. We're just naturally wired like that. And gratitude journaling forces you to focus on the positive, which in turn, if you do it regularly, will force you to just think more positively about the world. And I genuinely feel like that now. I'm just so much more calm. If bad things do happen, I can remember how grateful I am for all the other things in my life, and there's so many things that I have. So it's such a good way of transforming your mindset from negative to positive, and it's really, really well studied, and it's really proven that it does do that. So it can be simply 5 minutes at night, just journaling what you're really grateful for that's happened in the day, and that will honestly change how you feel. It changes how you feel going to bed, and therefore how you wake up. It's just so powerful, and it's something that I think everyone should do, because we do have so much to be grateful for that you can often forget about. So gratitude journaling for me is a key habit in being the best version of you and to feeling your best, and also just showing up as your best, because I find that I'm so much more nice and happy when I feel grateful. So if you can improve how much you feel grateful, then you're going to be nicer and you're going to be more happy. So that is a real foundational habit that I think is so important for a physical and mental glow up. Now, lastly, we're going to be talking about screen-free time. This links in quite nicely to the other habits that we've been talking about, but I used to be so bad for it, and I didn't know until I actually looked. It's such a useful feature, guys, your screen time that you can look at on your phone. Honestly, before anything, the first thing you do after this video, go and look at your screen time on your phone, because it is the most enlightening thing, and it's not a feature that they necessarily speak about much, like the phone companies, because obviously they want you on your phone more, but it is so helpful. And I actually have my screen time pinned as a widget, so every single day throughout the day, whenever I go on my phone, I can see my screen time. I can see how much I've spent on social media, I can see how much I've spent on the internet, all of that thing on the different apps. Really helpful, because I think the first step to changing anything is having awareness of your current behaviours. So screen time, it's an inevitable part, unfortunately, of our society. We all do have to be on our phones, especially as someone that makes content. I do have to be on my phone, but limiting it when I don't need to is something that has made such a difference in my life. I am so guilty, and have been so guilty, for any moment picking up my phone with no purpose, right? Picking it up, maybe checking Instagram, checking TikTok. No reason to check there's just no reason really for me to be on my phone, but I do it and then I put it down. 5 minutes later I pick it up and do the same. Now that is what I find to have such a negative impact on me. I know on the days, and I'm sure you will too, on the days where I've spent a lot of time on my phone, I feel brain fog, sorry. I feel just a bit sluggish, I feel unproductive, and that is not something that I want to feel. And looking back, I felt that every day. Like, I know now, because I know the feeling and I know what it's like to not feel like that. I know that I actually just felt like that every single day, which is horrible, and no one wants to be in that position. But I felt like that all the time, and it was really, really hard to break that, almost addiction, honestly. But it all started with awareness. And as soon as I started trying to reduce those unnecessary pickups of my phone, the unnecessary time spent on social media, my brain felt so much more clear. I felt so much more productive, because I was being more productive. When you look at your screen time, whether it's like 5 hours or whether it's 9 hours, think about that time in your day. How much of your day is being spent on your screen, on apps that you don't really need to be on, that aren't benefiting you, when you could be doing things that are, like learning, for example, just, compressing and sitting with yourself, or going for a walk in nature without your phone. It really is eye-opening. And reducing my screen time has helped me so much in my life because it's helped me get to places that I didn't think I was going to be able to get to because I have extra time. And it's hard. It's not great. So just try and make it as easy for you as possible. Like pin that screen time widget on your phone. Get an app that reduces the time you can spend on certain apps. Make it so that your phone is not appealing to be on, because you will honestly feel so much more better and you will be more productive. You will have more time for yourself, for your family, you'll be more present, but you can actually do things that are productive like learning or trying something new. But you'll also just feel so much better in yourself. You're not going to feel all fuzzy. And if you don't feel like you feel fuzzy, just try and not be on your phone for a bit, because you might actually feel so much better afterwards. It is such a negative thing that we have to deal with. It's known that our screens aren't good for us. So reducing it as much as possible is just a sure bet way to feeling better in yourself. Honestly, getting off your phone is the key to being more productive and having a better life. And if you can do that literally gradually, it is a habit that will change every element of your life, and you'll feel so much better and you'll do better as well. So those were all of my favourite habits for a physical and mental glow up. Now guys, I could go on, let me tell you. So if you enjoyed this, I am so happy to do another episode on this, because there are so many habits that have done amazing things for me, and I credit all of these to the journey that I've been on. I have learned so much on the way, and these habits have really helped it for me, and I love thinking of them as habits because they're things that are permanent in my life now, and they have started as things that were really hard to do. They got easier, and now they're solid habits in my life that form my routine. So I have so many more habits, but I just wanted to keep it, reduced, but actually go into each one for you. So I really, really hope that you enjoyed today's episode. It is a really, really, really good topic. I love talking all things glow up. I love talking all things habit, as you guys know. And I want you to know that you can do any of these. There are none of these that you can't do, even if you think you can't. If you told me about nervous system regulation or mindful eating 2 years ago, I would have told you, what? But I worked on it, I learned about it, and I just slowly implemented it into my life, and I genuinely believe that anyone can too. As always, guys, my DMs are always open. Please drop me a message if you have any questions. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.